In the beginning, once I got permission, I wanted to figure out the most appropriate doses, and also I was curious in terms of the IM route, the intramuscular route. Yeah, so we gave two experienced smokers of DMT, intramuscular DMT, in the study in the first couple of days. Yeah, and it was just clear that that was just too slow and too mild an effect given intramuscularly. Um, Instead of it beginning in just a few heartbeats, as is the case with smoked DMT, this took about a minute to start working, which still is rather fast. But the two volunteers just were really well. They were very clear in saying it did not match the intensity of the rush of the smoked drug, and they also just didn't believe it would lead to the same peak effect either, because a lot of the I think that one of the most compelling parts of the full DMT experience is the rapidity of onset, and just that you really can't resist it. And I think the act of giving up any sense of control is integral to really being able to enter the full-on experience. If you're resisting, if you're modifying, manipulating, kind of negotiating with it in the early stages, I think you can color it in a way with your own personality and your own neurosis, as it were. And clearly with ayahuasca, it's an orally active drug, but a slower onset. It is DMT, but I was interested in what the full smoked effect was like, and what its nature was from as pure and unblemished perspective as possible. And the intramuscular route just seemed too slow and not intense enough. So, I was kind of faced with a dilemma, because if you weren't going to be giving it intramuscularly, and you couldn't give it smoked just because that's too complicated, the only other way really of giving it in a means that would be even quicker than intramuscular would be intravenous. And there was really only one previously published article on intravenous DMT. And this was in the late 1950s or so, and it was in schizophrenic patients who really weren't that able to describe what was happening to them. And actually, one of these schizophrenic women that was injected with IV DMT, her heart stopped beating for a few moments anyway, and they had to resuscitate her, and she came out of it, but I was faced with the quandary of, well, I want to give IV DMT, but it looked like it was pretty dangerous, and that was really the only previous, published report on giving intravenous DMT was this schizophrenic woman whose heart stopped. And so I spoke to Dave Nichols, who was the chemist at Purdue who made the drug for me, and we discussed it, and we thought it was at least worth asking FDA if we could switch to the intravenous route. So I called my contact at the Food and Drug Administration and said, well, can I give it intravenously? And I could hear him thinking about it for a second or two, and he said, well, yeah, you could. You're the expert. He laughed and said, well, just start with like 1/3 of the dose of the intramuscular and then kind of take it from there. And so we then began giving it intravenously and worked out a number of different doses and determined what was going to be our low, medium, and high doses.